Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is the random chord problem from the virtual TI conference. So we're going to randomly choose 2 points on the unit circle and create a chord using those 2 points. My question is, what is the length of the typical chord formed in this manner? And we're actually not going to use 2 random points. We're going to fix 1 point at 1, 0, and this other point will be randomly generated, but I think you can see that half the time my chord should be less than whatever the square root of 2 is, and the other half the time it should be more than whatever the square root of 2 is, with a maximum value of 2 and a minimum value of 0. So let's go ahead and start with our program. I've set it up in the usual manner, and so I'm going to create some number. I actually don't need a count thing for this one because I'm not counting how many things there are. I'm wanting to take all of the lengths and put them into a list somewhere and then compute the average value of that list. So let me create a list called data, and then for I equals or for I in range, let's do this 100 times and see what it comes up with. I need to create a distance between those 2 points. So I'm going to call that D. My distance is, I can use square root for square root, or SQRT for square root, because I've imported math. And so what I want is I want the, before I do that, I need to create my angle. I'll call that angle A, and I want that to be equal to 2 times pi, and there is a pi command on this, times random. So my random number is between 0 and 1, so that means my angle is between 0 and 2 pi. And so I want to go cosine of A minus the x-coordinate of that point at 1, 0. And I want to raise that to the second power. And then I'm going to add on to that, there is no other really coordinates 0, so this is just going to be sine of A. And I'm going to raise that to the second power. And so what I would like to do is every time I go through this, I would like to take my data and I want to append whatever the value of D is. And then at the end, I want to print. Now there is no average command, so I'm going to print the sum of data divided by the length of data. And so let's run it, and we compiled it okay, so let's run it. And so 1.28, kind of right in there, 1.28, 1.28, 1.28. So here's what I'd like to do. I would like to do this idea like these 100 trials that we just did. I would like to do this like 1,000 times. So I'm going to create a new list, and I'll call this new list means. And I want to do this 1,000 times. Go through this program, this data, like collect all that data for 100 times and take the mean of it and stick it in the means set. And we'll look at that distribution of points. So I will go for J in range 1,000 times. And then I'm, not that. I want to grab all that and tab it in. And then so what I'd like to do when I'm done with this I loop on the inside, I want to take the mean and I want to append the sum of the data list divided by the length of the data list. So in other words, I'm going to take the average value of my data list and stick it in the means. And then when I get out of this, when I'm all said and done, I want to store the list, and I'll store it at means. Ooh, and I better get that correct because it's going to mess me up there. And I'll go comma means. So let's compile it. Compiled good. Let's run it. And let's insert a data and statistics page. Ooh, look at all those dots. So it appears that most of my data values are between 1.2 and 1.35. So somewhere in there. A box plot might be interesting to look at. So let's look at a box plot of that data. A couple of outliers on each side. So when the chord is very, very short, actually I'm surprised that that's the average values, not individual ones. So those averages are very, very small. Got it. So let's go back to the dot plot. So not bad. Not bad. So that is the random chord. Typical length seems to be between 1.2 and 1.35 maybe. Or maybe we could even zoom in closer, but that's your typical length. But again, it's statistics.